Right, now here's our next letter. Pop it up there. She used good quality paper, does Auntie Edna. The Great Pyramid, Egypt, 13th of February, 1933. Dear Gerald, I'm sending you a pinch of sand from the base of the pyramid. Just imagine these very grains might have been brushed off the feet of Moses himself. It's a bit fanciful, isn't it? Right, here we are. I've got them here. It's not much. Can you hear it? Sounds very different from our beach sand, doesn't it? Desert sand, it's quite sort of sharp and angular. I must look at that under the microscope sometimes. How exciting. There are these infinitely charming young men who endeavour to sell rides on their camels. What marvellous enterprise. Yep, well, she's a bit of a sucker for a nice young man. Aren't we all? Predictably, there is usually some hitch. We rode out into the desert and the blighters demanded that I pay a simply huge sum of money before they would allow me to return. Can you credit it? Well, they'd met their match. Having eaten nothing but fresh dates for the best part of a week, my bottom was particularly fragrant. I'm embarrassed to confess that I took full advantage of the effects. That's not nice, is it? The startled? Do I have problems with the hand? Oh, startled. That's good, isn't it? Startled camel shot off in the direction of home, taking me with it and making a dreadful din. The camel herders followed but kept their distance due to the nauseous clouds that cloaked us. Well, hardly surprising. Finally, double L. Always remember that. We reached our destination, a humble dwelling outside the city wall. I had the distinct feeling that the herders were desperate for me to leave. Well, you would be, wouldn't you? Not entirely unexpected, I suppose. So I negotiated a price that took into account the most invigorating afternoon. I decided to ignore their attempt at deception and kidnap. I paid for that in other less subtle ways. Yes. On return to my hotel, I saw a small, curious face peer round the corner. I knew that face at once. Narendra. He had made heroic efforts to follow me here. In my excitement, I'm afraid I rather disgraced myself. Oh, for goodness sake. A large dose of dates really does have long-lasting effects. He laughed and said, "You smell funny," to which I replied, "That's not funny." Love, Edna. P.S. To investigate these dates, they most certainly have properties that will save our nation's constipation dilemma. Maybe prune juice could be a cheap substitute. Actually, she's absolutely right. My grandfather, his parents died in the great flu epidemic of 1919, within hours of each other, and he was your age. He was 9, and he wanted to be a doctor. He always wanted to be a doctor, but all the family money got lost in the Great Depression. So here comes Gareth. We'll have a slight interruption, but never mind. Come on in, Gareth. We can cope with interruptions. So anyway, they died in the great flu epidemic. This then led to problems of, the money gone in the Depression, wasn't. So he was a pharmacist. Being a pharmacist, he found out that people on Friday nights would queue. The shop was open till 10. Would queue and buy bucket loads of, not literally, of laxatives. Use them on the Saturday so they were clean. Note the euphemism, clean on Sunday. Well, so I think she certainly shows a certain level of business acumen there. I think she was on to a good thing. Bye.